Okay.
I always think it's because I led such a transient childhood that there's always an element of me seeing things differently to the people that were there the whole time. Like my childhood friends in Barnsley would never have left Barnsley that much, and their families wouldn't have left that much. And as a child, you were always seeing so much more going backwards and forwards all the time. And so maybe it's just a way of offering to the world a different viewpoint to what might be seen if you're from there and bred there. And for the next album with the brass band and synthesizers, you know, part of my experience growing up in Yorkshire was that I played in a brass band and I sat playing the trombone in the bass end of the brass band, and the thrill and the movement that you can feel, the power of these huge brass instruments in that low end is just unbelievable. And I always felt when I heard a brass band recording that you could never quite feel that. Like, oh, it was really top heavy and really reverby. And I just, when they, Tubular Brass, which is the brass band, approached me and said, we want you to write a piece with synthesizers, my first reaction was, it has to be focused on the low end. It has to have that power. There's got to be a lot of breath in there. So as if you are sat inside the brass band, which is how I view it. I find that if I know too much when I'm creating, it stops me from creating. So, because it stops my imagination from kind of going to new places. So it's until it's kind of more finished in what I think is finished, then I'll start to kind of research. And the scientific side for me is really important because it just kind of gives a different angle to what you're trying to say, rather than it just being about love or it just being about heartache. Like it's got something more to it, that trying to understand humans and how we behave, and scientific research is part of that. And I think, you know, science, mathematics, I think, and art, there's always something that links together. There's always that kind of exploration and curiosity that inventors, like I consider her an inventor, need to have to kind of break the boundaries, to move on, to move forward, to be independent thinker, which she was. And it's the same with scientists and mathematicians and theorists. There's always something that is worth exploring and finding out and new. So it might be that you know, the difference is that I sing and it comes from a personal place, but that's, I suppose, part of me as an artist, is I like to connect to people and I like to say words, but definitely, like, there's a link with wanting to find new things and not being satisfied with just what you've been given. Well, there's definitely a great divide in the music industry still, and there's a lot of hard work to do. I think there's various things to why, and a lot of it's to do with confidence and having an idol to kind of, you know, learn off, mentors to learn off that are already out there doing it. I think my generation will probably be the mentors for the younger generation in 20, 30 years' time, and they'll have someone to look to and talk to. And, you know, for me, to look up to Delia Derbyshire and what she represented and what she had to go through, if only she could know how much she's influenced everybody else. I mean, you know, and the same with a lot of people like Daphne Oram, that she worked, you know, that were part of that same radiophonic workshop, that actually they are the people that have really carved out something to work towards and make sure that you've got a place in the industry and make sure you're writing. But I definitely think it's hard because there isn't anyone really to look up to. There's a lot of men and there's a lot of artists, and there's, you know, you've got David Bowie to look up to, there's so many people that are male, but women you could probably count on your hand, like Kate Bush, Laurie Anderson, Delia Derbyshire, Daphne Oram. For me, that's it. Like, I'd love to find more, and I'd love that the next generations are given more confidence.